strong or weak, there was a proud teak tree in the forest. He was tall and strong. There was a small herb next to the tree. The teak tree said, "I am very handsome and strong. No one can defeat me." Hearing this, the herb replied, "Dear friend, too much pride is harmful. Even the strong will fall one day." The teak ignored the herb's words. He continued to praise himself. A strong wind blew. The teak stood firmly. Even when it rained, the teak stood strong by spreading its leaves. During these times, the herb bowed low. The teak made fun of the herb. One day, there was a storm in the forest. The herb bowed low. As usual, the teak did not want to bow. The storm kept growing stronger. The teak could no longer bear it. He felt his strength giving way. He tried his best to stand upright, but, in the end, he fell down. That was the end of the proud tree. When everything was calm again, the herb stood straight. He looked around. He saw that the proud teak had fallen. Moral: pride goes before fall. The crystal ball. In the south of Spain, there was a small village whose people were very joyful. The children played under the shades of trees in the gardens of their homes. A shepherd boy named Nazir stayed near the village with his father, mother and grandmother. Each morning, he took his herd of goats up the hills to find a suitable place for them to graze. In the afternoon he would return with them to the village. Each night his grandmother would tell him a story, the story of stars. This story really interested Nazir. On one of those days, as Nazir was watching his herd and playing his flute, he suddenly saw a wonderful light behind a flower bush. When he approached the bush, he saw a transparent and very beautiful crystal ball. The crystal ball was glittering like a colorful rainbow. Nazir carefully took it in his hand and turned it round. With surprise, suddenly, he heard a weak voice coming from the crystal ball. It said, "You can make a wish that your heart desires and I will fulfill it." Nazir could not believe that he had actually heard a voice. When he made sure that he had indeed heard that voice from the crystal ball, he was very confused. He had so many wishes that he could not decide upon one particular wish. He said to himself, "If I wait till tomorrow I will remember many things. Then I will make my wish." He put the crystal ball in a bag and, gathering the herd, happily returned to the village. He decided that he would not tell anyone about the crystal ball. On the following day also, Nazir could not decide what to wish for, because he really had everything he needed. The days passed as usual, but Nazir was still unable to make his wish. But he appeared to be very cheerful. The people around him were amazed to see the change in his disposition. One day, a boy followed Nazir and his herd and hid behind a tree. Nazir, as usual, sat in one corner, took out the crystal ball and for a few moments looked at it. The boy waited for the moment when Nazir would go to sleep. When Nazir did fall asleep after a while, the boy took the crystal ball and ran away. When he arrived at the village, he called all the people and showed them the crystal ball. The citizens of that village took the crystal ball in their hands and turned it around with surprise. Suddenly they heard a voice from inside the crystal ball, which said, "I can fulfill your wish." One person took the ball and screamed, "I want one bag full of gold." Another took the ball and said loudly, "I want 2 chests full of jewelry." Some of them wished that they would have their own palace with a grand door made from pure gold, instead of their old houses. Some others wished for bags full of jewelry. All their wishes were fulfilled, but still the citizens of the village were not happy. They were jealous because the person that had a palace had no gold and the person that had the gold had no palace. For this reason, the citizens of the village were angry with each other and stopped speaking to each other. The gardens in the village where children used to play were no more. There were palaces and gold everywhere. The children became terribly unhappy. Only Nazir and his family were happy and contented. Every morning and afternoon he would play the flute. One day the children of the village took the crystal ball to Nazir. The children said to Nazir, "When we had a small village, we all were happy and joyful." The parents also spoke. They said, "In one way or another, all of us are unhappy. The luxurious palaces and jewelry only bring us pain." When Nazir saw that the people were really regretful, he said, "Even though the crystal ball asked me to wish for something, I have not done it so far. But if you really want everything to return to its own place, then I will wish for it." Everyone happily agreed. Nazir took the crystal ball in his hand, turned it around and wished that the village would become the same as it was before. In a moment, the palaces disappeared, the green gardens appeared, and the same old village full of trees was there. Once again the people started to live happily and the children played under the shade of trees. Nazir continued his contented life every day, playing his flute at sunset. Its sweet sound was heard throughout the beautiful green village. Moral: we should be happy with whatever we have and not be greedy. The devoted mother. A mother duck and her little ducklings were on their way to a lake one day. The ducklings were very happy following their mother and quacking along the way. All of a sudden, the mother duck saw a fox at a distance. She was frightened, and shouted, "Children, hurry to the lake. There's a fox." The ducklings hurried towards the lake. The mother duck wondered what to do. Then she began to walk back and forth, dragging one wing on the ground. When the fox saw her, he became happy. He said to himself, "It seems she's hurt and can't fly. I can easily catch and eat her." He ran towards her. The mother duck ran, leading the fox away from the lake. The fox followed her. Now he wouldn't be able to harm her ducklings. The mother duck looked towards her ducklings and saw that they had reached the lake. She was relieved, so she stopped and took a deep breath. The fox thought that she was tired and he came closer, but the mother duck quickly spread her wings and rose up in the air. She landed in the middle of the lake and her ducklings swam to her. The fox stared in disbelief at the mother duck and her ducklings. The mother duck had tricked him cleverly. Now he could not reach them because they were in the middle of the lake. A greedy mouse saw a basket full of corn. He wanted to eat it. So he made a small hole in the basket. He squeezed in through the hole. He ate a lot of corn. He felt full and was very happy. Now he wanted to come out. He tried to come out through the small hole. He could not. His belly was full. He tried again. But it was of no use. The mouse started crying. A rabbit was passing by. It heard the mouse's cry and asked, "Why are you crying, my friend?" The mouse explained, "I made a small hole and came into the basket to eat the corn. Now I am not able to get out through that hole." The rabbit said, "It is because you ate too much. Wait till your belly shrinks." The rabbit laughed and went away. Greedy mouse. The mouse fell asleep in the basket. The next morning his belly had shrunk. But he wanted to eat some more corn. He forgot all about getting out of the basket. So he ate the corn and his belly was really big again. After eating, the mouse remembered that he had to escape. But obviously, he could not. So he thought, "Oh, now I will go out tomorrow." The cat was the next passerby. He smelled the mouse in the basket. He lifted its lid and ate the mouse. The hare and the tortoise. There once was a speedy hare who bragged about how fast he could run. Tired of hearing him boast, the tortoise challenged him to a race. All the animals in the forest gathered to watch. The hare ran down the road for a while and then paused to rest. He looked back at the tortoise and cried out, "How do you expect to win this race when you are walking along at your slow pace?" The hare stretched himself out alongside the road and fell asleep, thinking, "There is plenty of time to relax." The hare and the tortoise story. The tortoise walked and walked, never ever stopping until he came to the finish line. The animals who were watching cheered so loudly for tortoise that they woke up the hare. The hare stretched, yawned and began to run again, but it was too late. Tortoise had already crossed the finish line. Moral: slow and steady wins the race. After being defeated by the tortoise, the hare did some soul-searching. He knew that though he had tried hard in the beginning, he was not consistent, and had grown overconfident. He was determined to undo his mistakes, and invite the tortoise for another race. This time, the rabbit was careful to run the whole distance, and of course, emerged the winner. Moral: fast and consistent may be better than slow and steady. Well, after emerging the loser in the second race, the tortoise thought long and hard. He knew that in any traditional train, the hare would win, if he was fast and consistent. Therefore, he thought of a non-traditional terrain for the race. Then he invited the rabbit for another race. This time the rabbit laughed out loud, thinking that the tortoise was out of his head. But the tortoise insisted that there should be another race and the terrain would be decided by the tortoise. The rabbit agreed to the idea. The race began. The rabbit was leading in front, with the tortoise far back trundling along. Around halfway through the race, they came across a river. The rabbit halted on the bank of the river, wondering how to cross the river. Meanwhile, the tortoise approached the river slowly, got into the water, swam across, climbed up on the other bank, ran the last few kilometers, and won the race. Moral: when your capabilities are below par, choose a playing ground that gives you a natural advantage.